Yo, yo, yo. What going live here on YouTube. Today's been pretty cool. I just got done going live in my paid group, Simply Lucid, and then activated a new module in the course that we're all working through. So far we've worked through practical magic and shadow work, and then now boundaries is unleashed. So yeah, super excited for that. And yeah, welcome to my channel. If you are here, you're welcome to like, share, subscribe, all that shit. And yeah, that way you'll know when I'm actually going live, which is like whenever I freaking want to. But I posted something today on like Facebook and Instagram, and basically it was me processing a fuck ton of grief that I felt yesterday. Like totally felt it. It was like it was a lot, and I'm sure it will be something that I will like keep going through. But today I just had so much insight and like gratitude for the whole process. So I made some notes as to what has helped me. So I wanted to hop on here and continue to like do real-time processing of what was going on. So let me bring it up. Boom, 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 boom. I've also been obsessed lately with Kambada, this like artist who I found out through like Black Magic 363, Brother Rich, and all the cool stuff that he's on. But yeah, I've been like on it lately with the new music. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, I'm basically getting at the joy of grief, like alchemizing it and being like, oh my God, grief, thank you so much for being here. I'm getting off on you. Shout out Carolyn Elliott, Existential Kink, but being like, yay, like I'm excited this is here. I'm getting off on it. This is my friend. I like it. Even the like super melodramatic part, like the drama of like throwing myself on my bed and weeping and like feeling sorry for myself. Like can't stay in that space, but owning like some part of me fucking loves being in that space. So it's basically the joy of grief. And I'm rather used to like shame showing up in my life and being like just like crouched on my shoulder. It's like shame. But grief, I'm not as familiar with. Like it doesn't come around as often. So it's just like, hey, you're not shame. Who are you? It's like, I'm grief. So I felt really cool about like even owning and understanding that what I was going through, what I was feeling was grief, and being able to name it and understand it and really reach out to other people to be like, I'm grieving. This is why I'm grieving. Who else has been through this? What helped you? So like this is me, my present self, even going back to my past self to be like, hey, I've gone through it. This is what helped me. Also, just like seeing it in the lens of Scorpio season, like so much grief work going on right now, like it kind of makes sense. So I have joyful grief. While shame is usually my secret lover, I've had the pleasure of dancing with grief lately. Thanks, Scorpio season. Here's what helped me. And yeah, first point, like I said, seeking support from others. I said, thank God for the internet. I'm so grateful for the various communities that I'm a part of, people I can pour out my vulnerability to and be seen, heard, and guided. Knowing how I'm going through this alone, or I'm the only one feeling how I feel. And again, I feel like even naming or knowing that I was grieving was so profound. Like people might be having grief and like not even know that that's what they're going through, and then not have the means to reach out to other people to feel supported and seen through that. So I actually have a feelings chart that people can purchase on my website to better name like what they're feeling and what they're going through, because I feel like that's super huge and powerful. But yeah, I realized that I was feeling grief, and it was really Facebook groups that I'm a part of. I was like, hey, who else has gone through that? Specifically women navigating the transition from maiden to mother. Like it's so huge. And I was also pretty surprised. Like I was going to my partner being like, are you like expecting him to feel how I was feeling, given that we're on the precipice of a major transformation? And he was like, no, I don't feel that way. So I could have let myself like spiral spiral down and to be like, no one feels like I feel like, but it was like, no, he doesn't have to feel that way. If anything, it's kind of cool that he's holding down like an opposite end of the polarity, you know, while I'm doing my thing as the feminine. But I was able to reach out to lots of really cool women in groups that I'm in, like I said, specifically involving femininity and navigating the different stages of the feminine journey, specifically made into mother. And even just like, not like I want people to also be grieving, that's like weird, but it felt really awesome getting feedback that I wasn't alone, one, and two, getting feedback on how other people have gone through it. So I'm super, super grateful for the insight that I got there. And something kind of big that came through, like an understanding or an awareness, is ultimately that my take on what I've been going through is that it's largely ego based. Like, this is an ego death. This is my ego being like, not like I'm melting. Wicked Witch of the West, like, throw water on it. It's melting. It's sad. It's dying. Ultimately, that's my ego. And like, I've been through ego deaths before, mostly inspired by psychedelics, you know what I mean? And it's humbling to be back at that space of an ego death. And again, super empowering to have the language to say, like, I'm grieving, but it's ego based. I'm having an ego death. And understanding that there are other parts of me that aren't grieving, the part of me that is initiating the change. So it feels like my higher self is really, really calling in motherhood and all of these changes and transformations in service to growth and experience. Like, I'm here to have a human experience. Like, it will be so visceral and juicy with all the chemicals and all of that stuff going on. But I still am holding space for my ego that is grieving because it's dying. But after that death, transformation, right? Like solve a coagula. So I'm excited ultimately for what will be happening. Yeah, a second point, like I said, recognize it and name it. I'm feeling grief is so much more empowering than I'm feeling weird and I don't know what, where, why it's happening. Like, fuck that. No, we know what we're feeling, why we're feeling it. We're going to have a little breakdown, move through it, not repress it, and be on the other side with like awareness and joy, right? So I say like what the fuck? No, I'm a human and I'm grieving right now. Another point, feel it, move through it, then let it go. I'll take a melodramatic, throw myself on the bed, cry my eyes out, and bemoan my condition any day over repressing that feeling and letting it calcify into who knows what, aka cancer, aka resentment, just a whole bunch of bullshit. Like, no. No. Especially in service to like the mother and like the shadow shit that's all there with motherhood. Like, no, like, I want to real time process this shit to the best of my ability so that it doesn't come out in these worse than it needs to type of ways. And it was interesting. Yesterday, I got a prenatal massage and I was like right in the middle of my grief work when it was time for a massage. And I could have not gotten a massage because I was sad, but like, no, I'm going to go get a massage because that is something that I would love to do for myself. But I'm going to be honest, right? Not repress what I'm feeling. So I'm like navigating this grief, like don't have makeup on, just like get dressed, go to the massage. And the massage therapist is like, how you feeling? I was like, oh, I'm navigating grief right now. And I'm super proud of myself. I'm like, I'm aware of how I'm feeling. I can name it. I can do what I need to do despite feeling this way. Like, I can function still. And she mirrors back to me like, oh, well, that's bad. Like, she literally says that's bad and like offers some shame up on the platter. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like, thank you for offering me this like shame-based reflection that you just said. But like, no, I don't know. So I could have like gone off on her, right? Because I'm already grieving and feeling super emotional and hormonal. But what I did instead was I said, like, actually, I am really proud of myself for knowing that I'm grieving and accepting that instead of repressing it and doing what I need to do to take care of myself and move through that emotion. And then she was like, Yeah, you know what I mean? Like she's not a psychologist. Like I don't know how aware this lady is, and I like want to be compassionate and give her the benefit of the doubt. But I wanted to be like, bitch, don't you don't you throw shame on my grief? No, like no shame in my grief. Understanding, acceptance, like clarity. Like it was funny. Like to play it back, it's very funny. But yeah, she was like, well, that's bad. And I was like, no, what's bad is like repressing your shit and like not doing the shadow work. So I say, no, what's bad for pregnancy is lying to myself and not doing the shadow work that wants attention right now. So another thing that helped me was simply like remembering to breathe. I feel like that has been at the source of panic attacks that I've navigated and overcome in the past. Just really a sense of like as you're crying, as you're upset, like an inability to really catch your breath. And then it like devolves, you know. So I would hit certain points where it was like, listen, like nothing is more important than tuning into the breath right now. Like nothing is, yeah, that's just it. Like nothing was more important than maintaining my breath work. And that like made sense to me. Um, do art, like create from this space. This is part of what I'm even doing now, like writing from the space, talking to you all right now from the space, just really creating. I think I did some like collaging as well. I did more writing and like doodling, and yeah, I didn't care if it was nice or pretty or whatever, but it's part of the alchemy that I'm practicing or trying to practice. Like, oh, I'm feeling like bad, whatever, I'm feeling something undesirable. Let me create from the space because this is going to resonate with people and serve me as I move through my journey and like look back on what I've overcome or what cool stuff I've created from feeling shitty. So it says, do art, create from the space, birth what's coming out of the depths. Let it dissolve, fade, and die. Let it grow, become, and rebirth. Lean into the alchemy of what's going on and use it to fuel you. What are you calling in? So, as I was grieving yesterday, I was like, okay, get specific about it. Like, what are you grieving? And I literally made notes of like, I'm grieving this, I'm grieving that, I'm grieving this, I'm grieving that. And then I was like, okay, how can you adapt what you seem to be grieving into your life? So then I didn't do the calling back in part yesterday. Yesterday was more so getting very clear on like, what are you grieving? And then today I sat down and was like, okay, this is what I'm calling in. This is what I'm calling in. I'm calling in the very stuff that I'm grieving. Okay, so another thing I have is earth medicine, something that I love even when I'm feeling well, you know what I mean? I'm talking herbs, I'm talking incense, I'm talking salt lamp, I'm talking Epsom salt in the bath, the water with the bath, like feet on grass, medicinal mushrooms of all different kinds. I'm talking like reishi, lion's mane, cordyceps, letting the sun shine on my face. I like was playing, enjoying the relatively nicer weather given that winter is coming, going outside to play, and yeah, just tuning into like the miracle of life happening all around me. Like get the practice of dissolving the ego, being like, hey, the ego can be suffering, your world might be crumbling, but you are not the center of the universe. There's other cool shit going on. Maybe tune into that, like change the channel, you know? And then I have be patient and compassionate with yourself. You're doing a really good job having a human experience. This is all in service to your growth. So, again, like I said, the ego might be having a hissy fit, but like my higher self, my soul, that which is beyond just the human experience is like cheering me on, is why I'm calling the experience in. So again, it's like calling my power back, being like, nothing's happening to me. I'm choosing all of this and it's all in service to my growth. Like, how cool. And then a more like, yeah, like a more quantum way of looking at all of it is also, death and loss are only fear based, ego based illusions. We're still all floating around in infinite, all that isness, even if we want to like cover our eyes and cry, because sometimes it's like you cover your eyes and then you cry that it's dark. It's like, okay, that have fun with that. If you are really missing something, invoke that shit in a dream or meditation, or like make time for it in your day. You are God. Sorry, little ego. You be tripping sometimes. Cheers to your joyful grief. Yeah, and then I just have like a PS. If you'd like help and support with this shadow work, feel free to join Simply Lucid, my signature online program. Yeah, but I just wanted to hop on here and more verbalize some grief alchemy that I have been doing and share what has worked for me. And yeah, I'll put the enrollment link in the comments if you do want to join Simply Lucid. We have modules on activating your intuition, practical magic, a module on shadow work, which is like all of this that I just talked about, module on boundaries, and then manifestation. So the first part is essentially inner work, and we have people navigating this journey in real time. I would love to invite you into the space as well, and you'll essentially get lifetime access to a whole bunch of tools that are in my toolbox that I'm wanting to share with you all, and also support and guidance on when to use what tool, when and how to use what tool, so that you can accelerate your intuition and become just the more empowered version of yourself. But yeah, cheers to your grief. Sorry, low ego. We're gonna burn it all down and we're gonna build shit back up. Peace.